Welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast, brought to you by tournamentpokeredge.com, the only podcast dedicated exclusively to poker tournament strategy. Now here's your host, Clayton Fletcher.
Hello once again, everybody, and welcome to the Tournament Poker Edge podcast, sponsored by JockaCoaching.com. My name is Clayton Fletcher, and I am in safe, socialist New York City. Happy to be bringing you yet another episode of the world's longest running poker strategy podcast. Want to start off this week by thanking you all for the nice feedback on last week's episode. It was my goal setting episode. Every year, I like to start off by looking back at the goals I had set for myself a year earlier, and also set some new goals for the new year. So yeah, you guys gave me some really good feedback on that. You also shared some of your own goals. And guys, I really like when goals are doable. In other words, not like a dream, like, oh, I'd love to win 4 bracelets this year or make my first $1 million in poker. You know, that's all well and good. But what about the process? You know, what can you actually control? Like for me, it's how many hours I'm going to spend working on my game, how many tournaments I'm actually going to play. Like, I'm not going to win a bunch of tournaments if I don't play a bunch of tournaments, right? So simple things like that, just to kind of keep me motivated and help me keep my eye on the prize. And I want to hear more from you. You guys can find me on Twitter at claytoncomic. You can also join our Discord. The TPE Discord is absolutely free. There's a link, of course, in the description of this podcast. Just click that link and then you can join the Discord and tell us about your goals and what you're hoping to achieve in the year 2026. Now, I want to get a little more specific. I did say I'm going to spend 200 plus hours studying poker this year, and I will definitely do that. I've become a bit of a study addict, especially with Jocka coaching. Like, these study groups and training sessions and videos, the way they're organized, the way things are explained, and just the way they're presented in such short and concise and easy to follow formats where I don't lose my place if I have to stop and come back to it later. Really can't say enough about the site. But this year, what I'm specifically going to work on, where I really think I need to improve as a tournament player, is number one, ICM. It's time for me to take my head out of the sand. ICM matters. Now, we can say ICM is for poor people, or we can say I always play for first place, but there does come a time, guys, when you are playing for first place to your own detriment. Okay? For example, say there are 5 players left in a tournament where most of the money is for first place and some of the money is for 5th place. Of course, you guys know how tournaments work, right? So you're 5 players left, and let's say you are currently in 4th place with 20 big blinds, and the player in last place, 5th place, has 1/2 of 1 big blind. Okay, now this is obviously an exaggerated, hypothetical situation just to help me make my point, but you guys get where I'm going with this. If you bust in 5th place when the guy who was in 5th place only had half a blind, you have certainly made a very bad mistake. You've got to let that guy bust first, and that means, yes, you might have to fold a hand you'd really like to play, or at least play it slower than you otherwise would want to. So these are the things I'm learning. Obviously, I don't make egregious mistakes at that level, I hope, but I'm learning where my ICM IQ, if you will, needs to come up. And Jocka Coaching is helping me with that a lot. There's actually a module called Final Table ICM Strategy. I don't enjoy it. It's not fun, but I'm taking my medicine and I'm spending time with this module every day because I really want to become the best poker player I can possibly become. And this site is really helping me do that. Guys, if you want to try it out, I'm going to give you a link you'll get 7 days free. Okay, a 7-day free trial doesn't cost you anything. Once you're ready to buy, you'll save 20%. Okay, it's a really good deal. It's a very easy link, by the way. Jaka.poker/TPE. Jaka.poker/TPE. All right, so that's one thing I'm working on, ICM. Another area that I'm going to focus on this year, because looking back at my tournaments over the last year, I definitely struggle with blind versus blind situations, or, button, small blind, big blind spots. I get in too much trouble in these spots, and I don't usually have a decent hand because most of us have nothing when we're in the blinds, right? So I'm going to work on this and how to navigate some of these spots. It's going to be a real focus, especially here in the first half of the year as I gear up for the World Series of Poker this summer. And number 3, right out of the gate here, is just not caring about the results. I got into a few spots, especially online last year, where I kind of knew what I should do, but I was afraid of having a bad outcome. You can't get gun shy. Okay, don't be afraid to touch the hot stove if it's the right thing to do. You've got to be able to pull the trigger on the moves. And for some reason, I'm actually more fearless live than I am online. I don't know, guys. I can't explain it, but that's something I'm working on. I'm just going to have the mindset of I'm going to play my best. Even if that means I bust on the very first hand, it doesn't mean I didn't play well. And I'm going to welcome the variance if the time comes for me to take some variance. So those are just 3 of the areas that I'm going to be focused on in my study this winter. But I want to hear what you guys are focused on, because I think we can hold each other accountable, okay? You guys can let me know what your goal is for the year. How many hours are you going to spend studying? How much work are you going to put into your game? How many tournaments are you going to play? Or some other metric that we can actually look at in December of 2026 and say, did she get there? Yes or no? Now it's your time to share. I'm ready to hear from you. All right, let's take a look at the hand we went over last week at the end of our January 2nd episode. And this time we're going to use GTO Wizard, my favorite program to help me improve my poker game. You can plug in any spot at all. How many big blinds? What's the situation? Is it a cash game? Is it a tournament? Is it an ICM spot? What's going on? And then the wizard will tell you how a perfect wizard-like computer would play the spot. And then if you want, you can even practice that spot and similar spots until you've got them down pat. Like you know it by rote. Okay, you've got it cold because you used GTO Wizard to help you get better. And my, oh my, what a time to be alive. So let's take another look. Remember, this is from the $800 seniors event that they played back in December at the Venetian. Okay, the blinds were 500 and 1,000 with a 1,000 big blind ante. And we've got 46K in the stack. Doing just fine, I might say. Stack is above average. And now 2 guys limp in from late position. So you already know you're in a great game. When you're playing in a tournament and 2 players limp right in from late position, you kind of have to know that's a good spot, okay? That is not proper, correct tournament strategy 99 times out of 100. So anyway, that's what happens. And now I'm in the big blind. Hero with the Queen of Clubs, 5 of Diamonds, and I decide to just check. I don't see any reason to raise it up with this. And now 3 of us see the flop, and it comes Queen of Spades, 9 of Spades, Deuce of Hearts. So Queen, 9, Deuce with 2 spades. Very wet, very draw heavy flop here. And I decide to lead out for 3,000. So let's go back and take a look at the solver output. Let's hear what GTO Wizard thinks of my play in the hand thus far. Well, I'm happy to say that the solver has no issue whatsoever with me checking the Queen 5 here and seeing the free flop after 2 limps in the first place. And then once the board comes Queen high, I decided to lead out, but the solver doesn't do that. Actually, the solver doesn't lead out with any hands from the big blind on this board with two opponents. So it's a 100% pure check with our entire range. So that was news to me. I didn't know that. I guess it kind of makes sense. We can let somebody else take any number of stabs with any number of draws and then maybe go for the check raise or something like that. But I didn't really give them a chance because I decided to take the bull by the horns, which is very typical of me. That's just how I play poker. I figure if I'm going to call a bet, I might as well place a bet. But in this case, the wizard disagrees and we're supposed to be checking 100%. But I did bet, and the first limper folded, but the second limper raised to 10,000 with only 23,000 total in his stack. And I decided to go ahead and shove. I thought it must be a draw a very large percentage of the time with all those spade possibilities and all those straight draws out there. My top pair should be good a lot, so I just stuck the whole thing in. And let's hear what GTO Wizard thinks of that. Well, Clayton, not good. Not good at all. Solver doesn't ever shove Queen 5 here, or even Queen 10 off facing this raise. In fact, we don't start shoving at all until Queen Jack offsuit. And we don't have to put this many chips in just because we have a queen, right? This is kind of what I was talking about earlier, that a pattern in my game is I tend to get in trouble in the blinds. There's a big difference between having king, queen in this situation and queen 5 offsuit. And I'm playing them the same. And this is something I really need to iron out of my game. In fact, my opponent turned out to have king, queen, but that's a story for another day. And just in the interest of being complete, if we're not going to shove, we're obviously not going to call a bet from a player who only has 23,000. We're just supposed to fold. Okay, we should be folding Queen 5, Queen 6, all the way up to Queen 10. We can start getting frisky with Queen Jack or better. So personally, I learned something from that experiment, and I hope you did too. Guys, if you want to check out GTO Wizard for yourself, you can get 24 hours unlimited access. And then when you're ready to buy, you'll save 10% because you used my affiliate link, which is gtowizard.com/p/TPE. All right, guys, let's do one more hand today. And this is from an online tournament that I played in. It was actually a mystery bounty tournament, but registration was still open. And we're not in the mystery bounty fun phase just yet. People are still buying in, busting out, buying in again. The blinds were 500 and 1,000 with an 85 ante per player. And there's one fold. And then the player under the gun, he's got about 25, 26,000 in his stack. And he opens to 2K, so just a min raise in second position. And then the low jack folds and the high jack folds. And hero is in the cutoff. And I've got the king of spades, 10 of spades. So king 10 suited, and I've only got 20,000 in my stack. So this is a short stack hand. I am in late position, hero in the cutoff with king 10 suited, and I'm facing an early position open. Now my first instinct was that maybe I should just throw this hand away, pick a better spot, forget it, right? Why do we want to get involved with such a trap hand that could be so easily dominated? But then I started thinking, the original raiser only has 25 big blinds in his stack. So if I put in a 3-bet here, I can really put him to the test with a lot of his range. And then the second half of that equation is that my hand actually isn't doing terribly against much of his range. For example, ace queen, ace jack, pocket nines. I'm doing fine against all of those hands. I'm really only in trouble when he's got a better king. Well, yeah, and of course, we hate when he has aces or kings. But otherwise, I have decent equity, especially if I think I have a lot of fold equity to go along with it. And I kind of did, especially given the player profile, he seemed like he was kind of dinking and dunking a lot, just pretty free to try something real quick, and then if it doesn't work, he'll give up on it. So I didn't really think he was necessarily married to the hand that he was playing, and I noticed that he was playing 43% of all the hands, according to HUD statistics. So he's in there too much. I've got King 10 suited, and I decided to go all in. Now, this might seem wild, but, this is one of those spots where I just kind of accepted my fate ahead of time. I said, I've got a reason why I'm doing this. I'm hoping to push him off of whatever he has. I've got decent removal to certain hands like pocket kings and pocket tens that I'm obviously not trying to push him off of. So we want him to have those other hands. And we've also got reasonable equity when called. More importantly, at least from my standpoint, there's already 4.5 big blinds in the pot. And I've only started this hand with 20 big blinds total. So that means I can basically increase my stack by about 23% just by shoving and taking this down. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to keep my head above water. I'm trying to accumulate chips. You know what? If he calls me with nines and I win a coin flip, then I'll have a nice stack to play as we start to move into the fun part of the tournament, the mystery bounty phase. So yeah, I just shoved. I went all in. It folded all the way back around to the original razor, and he called me with ace queen offsuit, and I flopped a king and won the pot and ended up going pretty darn deep in this tournament. But yeah, let's look at theoretically, is this crazy? Would you guys ever make this move in your games? And if not, what's the worst hand you would try this with? I want to hear from you. Check me out on Twitter at claytoncomic, or just hit me up on the TPE Discord. And guys, that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave us a good review. Make sure you subscribe and follow the podcast. It helps us out so much more than you could ever know. And for everyone here at Tournament Poker Edge, with special thanks to our sponsor, JakaCoaching.com, I'm Clayton Fletcher. Thank you so much for listening.